the #1 listener-supported talk radio station for themselves ears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps. Expressed on this radio station, programs, and its website, and hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. Listen to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Hello, everybody, tonight. Thank you for joining us once again. And so many things going on, so many things to talk about. Brightest blessings, everyone. Hello, Miss Dragon and Ricky and everybody in the family. So give a call in. It's 614-400-5835. Again, 614-400-5835. And as we are seeing, we have a 6.6. I thought I saw somebody else say it was a 6.4 over in the Mariana Islands. Hello, Stack. Hello, everybody out there. There's a lot of activity, as we know. There's so much going on. So many things to talk about. So let me know what you guys want to talk about tonight. Last night we had a great on YouTube, a great live show, and we were covering basically prayer requests and healings, and that was a really nice thing for everybody to come together with. Tonight we're back on Revolution Radio, and we are basically talking about anything earth change related, anything you want to talk about conspiracy related, alternative health, energy medicine, qigong, yoga, things along those lines as well. Anywhere in that whole spectrum of being, we can talk about. Would love to hear what you guys are thinking about tonight. I'm personally waiting to see some major activity, earth-shaking wise, over on the West Coast. It does look like it's all set up after we've had that massive 7.1 in Peru, 7.3 in Venezuela. It's the one in Peru was incredibly deep, as was the other one that we had before. Many of you guys have been sending me some really interesting photos. Strange things out there, unusual times. And so what do you guys want to talk about tonight? Again, it's 614-400-5835. And we have a moment, so if you guys want to give a call in before the usual start to call in, feel free. And we have our first caller, and this is our brother Nasiah.
Oh wow, you're psychic now, Shia! What's up, brother? How you doing?
Well, see, that's how I pay the bills, the psychic network. I do that on the side.
Nice, great to hear that. How you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing pretty good. Just had 2 meditations today, and it's amazing. The energy feels stronger every single day. It really, really does. It's just a matter of making time to do the meditations, because I could feel wiped out and exhausted, and then when I meditate, I come out of it and I feel so incredibly good.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, how are you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing phenomenal. It's amazing how things are going, like you said, energetic-wise. Yes, the facts are facts. We see certain things happening around the world. Yeah, those are facts, yeah. But like you said, once I meditate, once I do my rituals and stuff like that, where I look at well, I go about everything as being sacred, literally. Like, really, when I cook, oh my God, you are what you eat, people. So when you cook with love, guess what? You're eating love. It doesn't matter if it's the same thing over and 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 over again. All right, as long as you cook it with love, okay, guess what? You're eating love. But anyhow, that's what I'm referring to. Is like whenever I do my little rituals, I step into my rituals where I make everything sacred. Man, it's amazing how everything shifts and it attracts abundance in so many energetic ways. But yes, thank you for asking, and I hope the listeners, our brothers and sisters listening, are also doing great. Aside from the fact that they see, aside from what you're reporting as well, which is very necessary for us to understand. But yeah, that's the main thing I wanted to talk about today was the internal work. That obviously you're doing the proper internal work. But some people still, don't know how to go about that, even though you're specifically, stating what needs to be done and this and that. Well, that's like technically what we're doing right now overall is giving don't take insult to this, listeners, but it's just a metaphor. It's like we're giving a college book textbook to a 6-year-old, and we're expecting them to be able to be successful with that. Meaning, like, with people that have no clue and are afraid of stepping into outside of the norm, meaning going into meditation and clearing the mind. Like, say, for instance, in Spanish, I've dealt with Jehovah's Witnesses and many different ones, right? And I have nothing against them. I actually go into their kingdom halls and this and that. But once they hear that I meditate, to them, the way they put it is poner la mente en claro, which means clear the mind. To whiten the mind is actually a very bad thing to them. To them, that's when the devil comes in. Are you kidding me? But anyways, so that goes to show you how much fear-based has been going on. So meaning, so when we tell people that never have done this, and according to them for many years, it's against the Bible, it's against religion and this and that, well, we're telling them exactly what to do, but they really can't do it because we really have to, in a sense, almost be there or at least on the phone. And you know how this works, Michael. You can tell anybody anything and it won't work unless you're right there and you're literally seeing all their unconscious movements, their unconscious words, and then that helps you to really see what's inside and you can help them shift internally. But anyhow, the point is, aside from this, one thing before I even get a little deeper into my energetic propagation is that I do want to address that it's weird, but now we're being kind of targeted in the sense that with me, I don't even get the actual live feed notifications, and not only that, when I go into your page, it doesn't even show the live feed. So with me specifically, I can't even tell when you're technically doing a live feed. So earlier, I even made a video right now, a little while ago, and I'm like, what the hell? So I called you, and then you ignored it. So I'm like, okay, maybe he's technically, obviously, in the middle of a call, and I don't even know when to call in. So I hope I don't get in people's nerves. But anyways, the point is for some reason, this has happened already in the past. What is it? 3 live streams, I believe it was, where I didn't get no notification at all. I am subscribed still. I was unsubscribed for a while, but I'm subscribed, but yet I'm not getting the notifications. And when I go to your page, it seems to be my particular, and maybe certain other people as well, they're like blocking us specifically so that we don't interact.
Yeah, it's crazy how deep it is. It's really, really deep. It's so, they've switched gears. So, I mean, just from being somebody that, I think I have about 670 videos now. So posted a lot of videos. Early on they were doing a thing where it wouldn't be suitable for monetization, or at least it comes out that way when there was obvious keywords in there. So, whatever it was, for a while it seemed like it was artificial intelligence, anything related to Big Brother's state, putting anything in there for a tag would end up bumping it over to not suitable. And then, you had to have 1,000 views for them to review it. But that usually happens in like the first hour or so. But still, it would be like 2 days later, they'd finally review it and say, oh, it's good, And so meanwhile, 14, 15,000 views went by. And, then they would start monetizing it. So you basically lost out on the whole thing. And so many of us, this is really what we rely on totally, because, believe it or not, I really spend like 14 hours minimum a day doing this, just researching and responding to people, and actually doing the videos. Like this morning's video, the sound came out bad again, so we actually created this tiny little soundproof room, and I think we might have it now. But there's also times when my computer just, both of my monitors kind of go on and off, and then it feels like somebody locked in. It just feels like somebody else is in my system, and that's been going on for like 6 months now. But as I shared with a lot of guys a long time ago, I actually had somebody that said he was with the Illuminati contact me, going back. That was like last end of August, early October. So I think I had like 500 subscribers, because I've only been up for a year, and they already contacted me, and it was like bizarre. I was like, why would you contact me? All I have up there is energy work videos, and he said, oh, we've been watching you for years. We know exactly who you are, and we want you to join us. And then he showed me like a crazy legal document, and said we'd have somebody meet you close to Atlanta for your training. You'll be assigned somebody to be your supervisor, and I declined. I obviously declined, and then another time, they contacted me again, and then coincidentally, like a day later, there was a car that was driving down the street. It just went crazy and smashed through a wrought iron gate into the park across the street from where I was living. Did donuts, came out and started heading straight for my house, straight for my office. And then when it got to my property, it looked like it bounced, off of something that was invisible. And it went down the street, taking out mailboxes, small trees, light poles. It was just so weird. And it felt like, I don't know if it was a warning or what, but, there's different methods they use, and they watch people. And I don't know if they were watching me because of my energy work and everything. That's the only thing I could think of. Strange stuff, though, but they tried different techniques at different times.
And yeah, we also need to bring the balance as well, in the sense that I also suspect that it's also, like, I keep always bringing the balance, and it's not just, oh, I'm trying to fakely, bring balance, unicorns and fairies. No, I really am, because I do see both sides. And, if anything, I'm the Christian that's more of the Buddhist / Hindu / Taoist, all put into one. Again, I'm the Christian that is Buddha / Hindu / all that at once, meaning I choose the middle way. Okay, but what I'm trying to get at is this, like you mentioned, I'm sure these troubles have happened to you more than 6 months, but you mentioned about your troubles electronically in 6 months. Lucky you. It has been happening for me for like 15 years, missing information from hard drives and stuff like that. I just recently lost 4 terabytes. Just literally recently, like I had an immense amount of information I was about to release, but reason why I'm bringing it could be the light as well. Sometimes we cannot give people answers. We can only direct them. We can give them all the answers we want, but they're gonna hate us even more. It's only up to them to take that information and say, wow, this guy is freaking crazy. But again, this other guy, that's another guy that's from a whole different state, is crazy too. And man, it kind of matches. And if I look into, whoa, wait a minute, this is a real thing? What's going on here? So it does wake them up. But what I'm getting at is, I've noticed many times these things have happened when I self-reflect. I always find the benefit in it. Like most people in my position right now, they would already commit suicide, or they would be deeply depressed. My life's work, Michael, is completely gone, and I have so many programs. Revive, rehabilitate every vessel internally via emotions. That was the main one I was going to do, is start off with veterans, rehabilitating every veteran internally via emotion. I had so many programs that were literally done. An immense amount that I've been working on for nearly 2 decades. Okay, and I didn't want to just release one. I would have been a millionaire already. Dude, not to sound arrogant, but I was already a state away that competition because that wasn't the right type of competition. And next thing you know, every time I would about to go professional, something would happen either in my military career, all kinds of different things that would keep me away from doing that. So what I'm saying is, I believe also that the light is also intervening so that maybe you shouldn't really do that right now as of yet. And we can never tell when who is who or why the reason is, but it's only up to us, meaning it's up to the eye of the beholder of what beauty truly is. So life will always be only up to what interpretation is allowed to be. So, with this in mind, it kind of shows that I had to take a different approach to the way I was intending to release this information. Which is weird because I was intending to release it free. I mean, like, giving out kits of coffee enemas. Who here does coffee enemas? There's probably only 1 or 2 people listening right now out of the 88, 86 that just dropped all of a sudden. But see, that's another one. That's the true internal work that actually Jesus of Nazareth actually would prescribe. It's in the books. They took it out from the Bible so that we wouldn't know that that's the way we take care of Satan. Satan is a metaphor that's inside, meaning the parasite, the bacteria that keeps our mind clouded. We got to remember that. Wisdom, head, love, heart, and energy, core. That's one of the true trinities that we're not taking care of. You're taking care of it. You instruct people how to do it, meaning like, at least you're in the live chat, but I'm sure you have more success with people you work personally. But, sometimes you're too busy sometimes too to really be in the moment. Like, say, for instance, with the gentleman, maybe like 6 live streams ago, the last time I was part of, the guy from Kentucky that came up with the pyramid, the copper pyramids, and he asked you about what stone you recommend. And I know you know many stones and this and that, but you just couldn't tap into his full energy at the moment because, it was towards the end of the streaming. But if you're listening, I forgot what was his name, but I believe he was from Kentucky. Please, all of you, look into this. You're going to fall in love with this stone, okay, with this crystal. It's called azurite. Azure, A-Z-U-R-Y-T, and that one is blue, okay? That's the blue part is the azurite, and the green part is malachite. But it's great for insight, for the third eye stimulation, and it gives you foresight so that you can see what's truly internally that you need to shift. Because remember, as above, so below, meaning everything truly is reflection. It's a mirror that we need to learn from. Carl Gustav Jung, one of the best psychoanalysis, is the one that reminded us that everything, every single thing is a reflection. So just real quick to give you a little bit of the power of azurite. In crystal healing, azurite is a gem when it comes to enhancing creativity and inner wisdom because it cleanses and activates the third eye chakra. When you, if you can, look up the azurite right now and put it up so people can see it. I'm telling you, you guys are going to fall in love with this, and it's also considered the stone of heaven. The one I have literally looks like a little Africa. It was made from a stone that was found like the size of a fist, but it was sliced in about 1/4 inch slices. And the one I found looks just like Africa, and it's blue, this beautiful royal blue, and this beautiful emerald green. And the azurite is known for its stunning blue color, like I just mentioned, which evolved over the millennia through reactions. So this is where it's very important because our bodies have this. Reactions between copper, hydrogen, carbonate, and oxygen. Okay, copper is the main thing for us human beings. Believe it or not, look into that. Eventually you will find the power of copper and why we used to wear a lot of copper instead of gold. And azurite features deep contrasting shades of blue, which comes from its fusion with malachite, a closely related mineral that contains nearly the same chemistry, but with a bit more copper dominance. That's why you get that emerald green. And the best part is to channel the healing properties of azurite. Place it in your office, studio, and everything will just come. Remember, it's connected to the third eye, and also to the heart. The green, emerald green heart, the blue, the sky blue. That's where the azure, A-Z-U-R-E, stands for sky blue. But I mean, there's just so many. I could keep going and going and going. I'm not sure you know this, Michael, and we can go back and forth and really expose people to beautiful things. But you know, it's always up to the eye of the beholder. There it goes again, the eye. So again, that's another thing to make us afraid of the eye, and they put it in plain sight so that we can be afraid of it. But in our reality, if we understood what the pineal gland, which is the metaphysical eye is, we will have true insight, true intuition properly with the true feminine energy amongst us.
Very, very true. Yeah, there's so much to it. I mean, there's so many things to look at, and as you were like alluding to, the microbiome, our gut is so important because we are truly, we're a universe, and I've said that before. Each one of us is a universe unto ourselves. And so there's so much living inside of us that's not us, but can affect us and can definitely affect our thinking, our feeling, our health, obviously. So it's all about keeping everything in balance. And there's so many different aspects, and to look at that from diet, and then also, of course, and the thing that seems to be the most important now, the thing that is getting to overrule everything is really the energy. And I really do believe that things are changing energetically, which leads me to believe in the truth of some sort of dimensional shift going on, because I mean, I've been into energy work, qigong, for a long time, like 25 years or so, and my God, things come so easy now. I mean, so easy. You could just feel it's like at first it was like it's rapidly speeding up at an exponential rate. So, it's just getting so much more intense. And what took, 10 years to achieve, might have took 5 years to achieve 5 years ago. Now, a year ago, it might only take like 18 months. And then now today, it feels like it might only take a week or two if somebody would just put their energy into it. It's amazing what you could achieve. The energetic side of things just seems to be increasing so fast and so rapidly. It's just mind-blowing.
Oh yeah, and you mentioned the energy transfers exchange. Well, we must remember that thought, emotion, intent, belief, and perception, that equals a cellular energy for the light body self, which we all have, whether you believe in God or not, whether you believe in chakras or not, whether you poop once a day or 7 times a day, it doesn't matter. Again, thought, emotion, intent, belief, and perception equals the cellular energy. So when we express those things one to another or to ourselves, when we are intimate, when we go in to mate with ourselves, we exchange energy, and that is technically considered a portal. Okay, by the bad, by the good, by nature, by spirit, is it technically happening whether you believe it or not. Look up etheric, well, not etheric, it is etheric physics, but the world knows it as quantum physics or quantum physics, quantum mechanics, a little bit in there as well. But look into that. I mean, if we consider the laws of thermodynamics, right? The thermodynamics, the first law, also known as law of conservation of energy, states that energy cannot be created or destroyed in an isolated system. The second law of thermodynamics states that the entropy of any isolated system always increases. So we must stay in motion. We can, the Kabbalah states that we must use the higher laws over the low ones. So in other words, if you're in high vibration, like say for instance, you Michael, you are in pretty high vibration overall because of what you've done for so many years. To you, lower vibrations really cannot affect you. To you, bad intention really can't reach you much. Why? Because you have what I like to call our energetic or etheric sponsors. What this is but some may not know that we never die. Our bodies do die. Our bodies eventually they cease to exist. They expire, but our souls never die. And we keep going and going, and I lost my train of thought. Where was I going? The laws of thermodynamics. Yeah. So
we basically, you know, our consciousness shifts, and you know, when you work on, like, say, work on your Merkaba, you know, from the Kabbalic tradition, you know, working on the light body, as you're saying, you get used to feeling it, sensing it, and then it gets to be so easy to shift your perception into the light body. And you know, after doing that for a while regularly, you know, it's just so easy, and then you're sensing on a totally different level, and everything is so obviously energetic all the way around you. And I find it intoxicating, honestly. It feels so good to draw energy into the light body and feel everything vibrating at a faster and higher rate consistently. It's much better to me than, you know, when I've tried marijuana in the past, and you know, I haven't really gone into anything else. I haven't tried ayahuasca. I haven't tried mushrooms. I've never been into coke or any of those things. You know, so I can't relate it to those things, but I do know I don't like being out of control. So I like to do everything on, you know, and on a natural scale with time, you know, and I do have the patience to make it work. And now it's at the point where it feels amazing, and I have no desire to really be out of control like those other things can make you kind of out of control. But I mean, I have heard great experiences from people doing DMT, you know, ayahuasca, where it's changed them. But at the same time, I'd rather just simply do my meditation and my qigong, and that's such a natural high.
Yes, and basically, in all reality, people may not agree with this, but you're in a sense a walking ayahuasca. Have you ever been told that before?
Not in those words.
Yeah, so what I mean by that is, like, you just being yourself, being the unconditional loving self, you actually are able to connect to their higher self, and you reflect to them what their higher self wants you to reflect to them. And most of the time, not most of the times, but sometimes they actually take insult, or they feel shame, and then, you know, it irritates them. Have you ever gotten a lot of negativity from something you're being so positive about, and they're like, what? How is it possible that this person's taking it so negative? It's because you're mirroring them what they do not want to see. Because everybody likes to be in comfort, and when you reflect to them such a perspective that, wow, what Michael just said is so easy enough. If it was true and I were to do it, man, I feel so much shame. And now, technically, I don't know this, but unconsciously, I feel that Michael's attacking me, so now I have to defend myself against Michael, and this and that, and I have to change the subject, and blah, 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 blah. So that's what I mean. Well, at least that has happened to me a lot, and I see a lot of similarities between you and I, and that's what I'm saying is, like, I know a lot of people, before they even knew what was really going on, they hated me. And then after a while, they're like, man, every time I'm going through something deep, I hear your voice, and then all of a sudden I feel better, and this and that, and I know exactly what to do. But damn, did I hate you when I first met you. So with that in mind, the last thing I want to close off so I can pass the mic and pass the Dutchie to the left-hand side, is that I want to talk about the mirror neurons. Okay, and this is why I say that you're kind of like a walking ayahuasca. It's not that you're only concentrating on all the negative, no, but you are bringing out the negative that is actually being swept under the rug. So you're not letting that negative affect you, but this is what I mean. The other people, some, because of mirror neurons, they will be triggered, and not against you, but against what is going on when it comes to the relevance of what you're pointing out. How does mirror neurons work? Well, the mirror neurons work just by visualization. Did you guys know that we can actually train our bodies in our sleep? For instance, when you kick a ball like a soccer player, well, how many times do they kick it a day when they're practicing? They go into the flow state and they're just kicking, dribbling that ball. Well, if they do it at least 1,500 times, 2,000 times, which when you lose time, that happens within 20 minutes. Once you go to sleep, because you did those many repetitions, you're technically still firing the neurons in your body, so you're technically training your brain and your body to do what you did during the day repetitively. Now, the same thing happens when you just simply from them actually doing the breath work while they're working out, they visualize themselves 10,000 times more than what they did physically through while they're eating, through while they're going to the bathroom, through while they're showering, everything. And that's why they seem to stay young overall, aside from the light hairs, I mean, the way they carry themselves. If you notice, well, most people wouldn't really notice this, but if you look into documentaries of martial artists and you look, say, for instance, into Eskrima in the Philippines, back in the days, they used to have crazy street brawls, right? Where they would, like, stab each other with sticks and everything. Obviously, you can't stab someone with a stick, but I'm saying stab with the knife and stuff like that, right? Well, as crazy as it may seem, most of the martial artists that try to teach society to defend themselves against the thugs, okay, all of them were either stabbed, they got into many, many, many street fights, so you would think like, oh, this guy, you know, went through hell and this and that. But the crazy thing about it is that most legendary martial artists that were true martial artists live way past the age of 70. So if they went through so much hell, how are they living way past 70? And then when you see one of their last videos before they die, overall, the way they carry themselves, like, what? You don't even look sick. Like, how is he about to die?
Especially when you look at the Qigong and Tai Chi masters, you know, those people are just amazing. And oh my God, yeah, the master that taught me up in Connecticut, and she's got to be in her early 70s now, but she still moves like she's in her 20s. She moves so fluidly. There's a water-like quality, a wave-like quality to the motion. Every joint is so loose and so supple still, you know, in her 70s. And I've seen masters that are over 100 and they still move like, you know, better than most guys that are my age. For sure, and there's something so much to that. It's the visualization. I was going to share with everybody, and Natsai, I better take another call, but it's always a pleasure, my brother. Thank you.
Definitely, my brother. Thank you, and one love to you all. And don't forget, just do a little more internal work for you and your children. Love you all. One love, one life. For together, our life wish how much, brother. Thank you much, brother.
Thank you, my brother. Much love. Namaste.
Namaste. Salam.
So that was Netsaya, who is a regular. But I was going to share that when I was really, really sick with Lyme's disease and, you know, didn't feel like getting up out of bed much, I just practiced pore breathing. And pore breathing, it's simply the visualization, really, when you break it down, of seeing the life force. You know, envision it. You can envision it as a glowing white light. You could envision it, if you're really sick, as a vibrant crystalline green light. Every breath, you're inhaling and you're seeing the light pouring in through every pore in your skin. It comes in through all the chakras. It comes in through the entire surface of the skin. And it's just you draw in with the inhale. When you exhale, you envision the light around your body, the aura, grow brighter and stronger. And every inhale, you're drawing in more energy. You're feeling the energy come from the earth up into the bubbling wells at the K1 point. That's in the soles of the feet, just behind the ball of the foot. And you inhale, you draw in the earth energy there. You draw in energy through the crown, all the chakras, but also through every pore in the skin. And I would do that until I fall asleep, and that's how I fall asleep each night. And so it's amazing because I used to have insomnia until I started practicing this technique going to sleep. And it shifts me into a different state of consciousness. I start to feel my energy body stronger and stronger. And then I start to feel just so vibrantly healthy and so at peace. And then the next thing I know, I'm off sleeping. But like Nazaya was saying, I'm still doing that. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'll find that my body is still doing it. It's still drawing in the energy. And I'll just sit there when I wake up and just basically allow myself to bathe in that glow of energy. If you're in really good physical health and you don't have anything to work on, just visualize it as a golden energy which will lift you up into a more spiritual center. Or in these times, you could do it as a crystalline violet light, which is totally transmuting. And that gets rid of any lower energies and lifts us up into a higher level of being, would help us with our ascension. And it's so easy to do. And once you start connecting to it so that you really, really feel it, it is so incredibly powerful. That technique, it will, anytime you're starting to feel sick, if you do that, once you connect to it, you won't get sick. You'll just, whatever it was, whether it's a cold, a sore throat, anything, it'll go away. And you'll just feel so strong, so vibrant, and so healthy. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and I'll do some more videos on these things. And we do have an open line. I know there was a few people calling in before. Please do give a call back. It's open right now, 614-400-5835. And we could talk about that. And, I think really, besides the fact that we obviously don't want to be killed in an earthquake, swallowed up by a tsunami, carried away in one of these crazy floods that we see. But otherwise, the most important thing we have to do right now is really energy work. And as far as physical aches and pains and things of that sort, getting grounded, getting into a better emotional state, there's nothing that's going to work faster now than concentrating on energy work, visualization, and intent. And it's so, so powerful. As we're taking a look at the USGS, see a 3.2, 12 kilometers southwest of San Ardo, California. I think we're feeling it. There's another really big one coming. We see we had that 6.4 in the Mariana Islands, according to USGS. And then Indonesia had a 6.2. And as we were seeing before, there's decent activity going on in South America, mostly Argentina and Chile and Uruguay and Peru and Paraguay. Oh, okay, that just showed up. 3.4, 4 kilometers north of La Verne, California. Yeah, be ready, guys. We're waiting for something along the Pacific coast here. There's something big coming on the Pacific coast with the big ones that we've had. We're definitely due. We are definitely due. We're seeing a lot of swarming going on in California right now. .4, 4 kilometers north of La Verne. 3.4, 4 kilometers north of La Verne. These are popping up. So, yeah, everybody on the Pacific coast, just be a little bit extra safe. A little bit extra. So, whatever else you guys want to talk about, and definitely you want to open up your heart chakra. Very, very important to connect to. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Hi, Michael. This is Tom in Colorado.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. I would like to talk about chemtrails.
Sure.
I listen to almost all your shows, and I was hearing you say that you've noticed that the chemtrails have changed.
Yeah, they seemed like they were coming in.
Do you remember that?
I do. I saw them a few times, laying them a lot lower than I have ever seen them before.
And can I ask you another thing? When they were lower, did you see? I call them dingle balls. They're like a round ball that comes off the lower spraying when they spray us low. I call them dingle balls. They're like off the chemtrail. They're like a round ball, and then they dissipate and turn into whatever they are.
I haven't noticed them before. See, honestly, in years past, I had some really great binoculars that weighed like 10 pounds. Honestly, the optics on them at the end were like 5-inch in diameter, and I could see everything really nice and close. I left them.
You did not see the dingle balls then.
No, I haven't seen them.
That's what I call them. But. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think it was Friday or Saturday. I live in the mountains, and I'm up at about 7,600 feet, and my house is situated where I'm kind of looking down the San Cristo mountain range to the southwest. And I think they spray me because the Planet X, the Booru or whatever, is coming in from the south. And that's why, like, they chemtrail over. But we were in, I spent some time in a house in Salida, Colorado, and we were there on, I believe it was Saturday. And the people that I was with, they'd never seen chemtrails, or they'd never looked up. And that is weird, trying to explain to people what chemtrails are and why they are doing it. Have you ever tried to tell somebody that has no clue about what's going on?
Oh yes, many times.
And what's the best way that you approach that, Michael?
Well, I mean, you could get into declassified documents because there are so many of them, and then there's just so much information out there about them, from weather modification to declassified military documents. I've been meaning to put together one because I did get into I mean, I never really get into arguments, honestly. I try to avoid them, but basically...
No, but they're kind of like dumbfounded by it, and then to get someone's attention, and then have them not think that you're some weirdo or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that you're... That's a hard thing to do. So anyway, I met two new people at this house that came to visit, and they were very nice people. We just had a great time. But as I got to know them, I told them, look up, you know, same thing. And they looked up, and the ex and the woman, Kim, she said, that I seen up in Loveland or something before, but that was the end of her interest. And then I started explaining all that. I started explaining the sun simulator, and then I told them, now let that sit for a couple of days. Don't think no more about, but you saw what I was trying to explain to you, and then think back in a couple of days about it. But don't try to take it in all at once, because it gets weird.
Right. Yeah, I do see people in the chat room actually know what you're talking about. They've seen them. So, yeah.
So that was kind of a subject that if anybody has any hints on how to tell somebody that hasn't got a clue, knows how to do it, put it in chat or get online. Because I think it would be good information for all of us.
You know,
if somebody's got, like a cool idea about it.
Yeah, I had the same video sent to me by 3 different subscribers today. And it was called Attack on Humanity Explained by Dr. Edward Spencer. And the first part of it, he talks about the chemtrails. And, he made mention of another source for documentation where it was verified. I'm going to have to go back over and find it. And then I definitely am going to do a video on it, been meaning to. I mean, I've talked about it so much.
It's kind of important because, man, this needs to stop. This is ridiculous. We talked about Assad in Syria chemicaling his people, and we're getting chemicals ourselves.
Not just chemicals, too, biologicals. So they're releasing biological agents as well, and basically doing experiments on us, as well as causing us to get sick on purpose, which will feed the, basically it will feed the pharmaceutical companies, which, it's a corporate world. So, that's how that ball rolls. And so the politicians are in the pockets of the corporations. And the government's basically owned by the corporations. So it's kind of a sad circle there. Oh,
when they come down and do a low spraying, a low, I call them chemical attacks. That's how I call them now. And that's what they are. They're a chemical attack on us. It needs to stop. It's ridiculous. Or they have to explain themselves and how much of this shit they're spraying on us. But it just has to stop until all those are answered, because it's like evil.
it is. And so, how do we get enough people, riled up and organized to demand it from our politicians? Where people are going to actually listen.
This weekend, the first thing I did, Michael, was to just introduce them to it, and then kind of tell them about it. Like, this is chemicals that they're dropping on us, and then before they left, I said, now tell your neighbors to look up, point it out to them, and tell them that this is bad for all of us. I have nerve damage from, I have a chemical imbalance, so I got damage like a person with diabetes has. Now, when they come down and do those low chemical spraying, I know it affects my nerves. I get a little more shaky. I cover my face with I got like a scarf that I pull up over my face when they're chemtrailing really hard, when they're doing a chemical attack real hard. And they'll come over in about 2 hours. The whole sky is obliterated. It could have been a nice day. But here's what really makes me mad is we got the fires going on. The California smoke is coming here. Well, all states are on fire, and they're spraying us at the same time.
Yeah,
that's really messed up shit.
And some of the stuff that they're spraying us with is accelerants. That's only making things worse.
Yeah.
But I do think a lot of it, too, is biological. And it's really some interesting stuff.
I'm with you. I really do. And it's almost like they're trying to kill. Look at the fish dying. Look at all the things that are, man, this is really, we got to stop this.
Oh, I know. Malibu.
And what goes up comes down, so it's going into our water supply, our food supply. We need to stop this stuff. But I get a little excited. But
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah, we need to find. I don't know. Somehow we need to get.
Just make people aware and tell them, like if you're standing next to somebody and they're just say, hey, say anything up there and kind of introduce them lightly. And I'm not talking to you personally, but other people that might be listening. And then try to get them interested and aware, because it's very important, because they're getting poisoned.
It is. We need to make up.
To try to get their attention, even though they might be still in the dust stage,
Right. Yeah, totally. I agree, Tom.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to get off of here. Nice talking to you, Michael.
Oh, always a pleasure, my brother. Take care, Tom.
All right. Good night.
Night. So that was Tom. And so what I was listening to before was, it's called An Attack on Humanity Explained by Dr. Edward Spencer, and it almost appears that he's like kind of on his deathbed, honestly. He's in a hospital giving a talk on what he's found, and he's been studying this for 30, 40 years, and he's got pretty impressive credentials as far as his schooling. He went all through all the quote-unquote Illuminati schools, including Yale. And, basically, you guys should check it out. But his thoughts are that there are humanoid beings running the show that he believes are leftovers from past civilizations. There are beings that have the high technology, and it was so interesting because this is what has been going through my mind now more and more, where I don't doubt that there's ETs, I don't doubt that there's interdimensionals, but also just thinking about the fact that there could be survivors of, say, the cataclysm that happened that caused the Younger Dryas, and Atlantis and all that. Survivors that still maintain all their knowledge and technology passed it on to their offspring, and basically have been enslaving the rest of the human race. And so, they might not be Homo sapiens sapiens, they might be something else, but, another type of humanoid being. So, it could be something as simple as that. So it was a very, very interesting thought. He gets into so many different topics. It was on stopthecrime.net. And very interesting stuff. But, everything that was in there I heard before, but I think it was his take on the fact that he thought it wasn't regular humans doing this. He thought that it was, I shouldn't say regular humans, Homo sapiens sapiens. It wasn't us, but some other human that was here. So, interesting thought. So we do have an open line if you guys want to give a call in, 614-400-5835. Again, 614-400-5835. And we do have another caller coming in. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Dawn, D-A-W-N.
Hi, Dawn. What would you like to talk about?
Hi. Well, it might be able to connect with some dots of you guys. I want to talk about Africa, like really what's going on there. Is it the artifacts or is it the minerals that were in there? And now that they're kicking out the white people, it's like, are they going to try to start a war or something? What do you think?
Well, they're always causing dissension. I think it goes back. I always bring it back to the Tower of Babel incident, and you got to keep everybody divided. You need to keep everybody divided and fighting amongst ourselves so that we don't start looking at things and saying, what's really going on here? So, they're always trying to create division.
Well, I'm really into the artifacts because to me it shows proof a lot. And it seems to be a hearsay that, they're all in a race to try to get some artifact, and they think it might be in Africa. And I'm just like, I can't help but to just look at everything and to think, is it deep state that's in there? And we're really like making this a bigger issue because, like you said, this has been going on forever. But for some reason, I just have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, for sure. And also, a lot of that happened in Iraq and in Syria with, Saddam Hussein, he was all about the ancient past and rebuilding Babylon and everything like that. And I have friends that actually were in the service that told me we were told to go in and destroy a lot of these, ancient artifacts and stuff, and they were in our military. They were in our military, and they were told to go in and destroy these things. So, yeah, definitely, I agree.
Take them, and for us,
right?
Because we're so devious. Well, I'm not saying we are, but you know what I mean. But it's really intriguing, this chess game that's going on. That's for sure. And I wanted to compliment you on your show, and you're a real diehard. I like that.
Oh, thank you, thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
I listen to you as much as possible as I can. You probably hear from me again.
Oh, I appreciate it. I hope I do.
Yeah. All right. Keep up the good work, buddy.
Okay. Thank you so much, Don. Take care.
All right. Bye.
And, when you're talking South Africa and the mines that we brought this up before, Michael Tellinger, he's exposed a lot of this stuff. There were intelligent beings working these mines hundreds of thousands and perhaps even millions of years ago. And Michael Tellinger also, there's so many footsteps, footprints that are imposed in rocks all over the world, especially through Africa. If you ever check out Adam's calendar, there's so many artifacts down there. There's been very advanced civilizations on the planet. Some believe it's extraterrestrial, but maybe it's not, or maybe it's just leftover civilizations that have been here that are actually native. Hello, caller. You're on the air, and who do we have with us now?
Hey, who am I Benjamin, and I'm from Kansas City. How you doing?
Good, Benjamin. How you doing today? What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, man. I guess a couple things. Yeah. So first of all, yeah, I've been listening to your show for I don't know, maybe about a month or so now, and I thought it was interesting because yeah, it was about synchronicities, I guess, to start off with. Yeah, I think your first show that really piqued my interest was talking about the control structures of everything and all the secret societies and stuff like that. And I thought that was really interesting because, like, literally the night before, I had this really deep conversation about the same sort of stuff with one of my homies. And then, yeah, just saw the vibe that you were talking about and everything that you're into, and was like, man, you're on a level. So that's been cool.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Then the second thing would be, I guess, about chemtrails and stuff like that. I'm from Kansas City, and maybe about 2 weeks ago, I'm also the guy that recorded that triangle that was in the sky on I-35. And yeah, I've just been paying attention to cloud stuff a lot lately, and yeah, noticed that you posted my video and was like, oh wow, holy moly, cool. Another synchronicity there. So I was like, thought that was cool. Anyway, sorry, to tie in the idea though, is my thought with the triangle and chemtrails is, I think something that would be going into the chemtrail would be a chemical or an element that's affecting the atmosphere to maybe project holograms on.
Yeah, yeah, I have heard that before, and that thought, for sure, Project Bluebeam, another possibility. I think there's so many layers to the chemtrail thing. I really think that there's, dozens of programs going on at the same time. Some of them could be just simply, shooting the sun's energy back out with the aluminum and the barium. But then I think they do different experiments on us all the time with biologicals, and there could be, a Project Bluebeam component to it as well. I think there's a lot of different things going on, right now layered in there.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that too, because again, another thing I was going to go into besides my speculation on what I saw, because it was so large after the MUFON report I got too. It was just like talking about the scale of that triangle was just so massive. I'm like, that wouldn't make any sense for humans to build anything that big. Like maybe it was a projection, but as far as weather stuff, I'll wake up some mornings here in Kansas City. It'll be a totally blue sky at 6 o'clock, and watch 5 planes go by with very, very broad chemtrails, and then all of a sudden we'll have very weird clouds come throughout the day. Very interesting patterns. I'm a guy that always say clouds look weird, but I feel like they've been looking even weirder than normal. And then we'll just get crazy rains and yes, chemtrails, weird stuff. But then I guess to tie the last idea with the last caller that just called in, talking about Africa and these sort of underground secret societies and ancient reptilians and gold gathering. One thing I can say for sure is that I looked up who owned my student debt loans recently, which is Bass and Associates, and they're an American company, but for some reason they're stationed in Africa. And I thought that was interesting, and then I started doing more research into some of these other big corporations, and I realized a lot of them are setting up shop in Africa. So there is definitely a movement of corporate interest in Africa for some reason.
Why do you think that is?
Owning people's debt. I don't know. I can only speculate. Again, this is where we can get weird with it. And maybe these lost technologies, maybe these alien races, or these, reptilian overlords or something, or maybe, it's more closer to that sort of source. And whatever shift we're going into, maybe that's just going to be a more solid place to be. After Pole's shift, like potentially Africa was going to be a more ideal place to live. And and then we could also, the African stuff could lead into, Antarctica, which is the stuff I've been geeking a lot about recently myself. But that's a whole nother weird wormhole of stuff. But
it is.
Speculations though about the Ark of the Covenant being in oh my gosh, lose it off the top of my head. Nigeria, is that where they say the Ark of the Covenant is?
I've heard different things, Ethiopia, Ethiopia.
I'm sorry.
yeah, just to wrap this up really quick. Yeah, Ethiopia. There's some tree stumps in Ethiopia that are massive. If you actually look at that on Google Maps, it looks like gigantic tree stumps around the area. And I'm thinking that maybe, yeah, like in the ancient past, there was a giant ancient war, and that potentially this ancient race of reptilians or giants that need to be wiped out were around the Arctic region or that Arctic belt area, just because it's such a weird barren waste. And if you look at some of the other islands around Antarctica in general, it's just there's just a lot of weird remnants of stuff that's organic that looks like it's been shifted into something that's now mineral based.
I was looking at the heliplots today, from the USGS, and I just had them up on the screen. And, they're pretty active today. There's a lot of activity, and there's a lot of activity in Antarctica today, too, on them. So, it always makes me wonder, is it volcanic, is it earthquake, or is it something totally else? Drilling, is it some sort of underground bases, is it human, is it non-human? It's very, very interesting. But
exactly, and again, it's like, or is it all of it? Because, then it's like, if you look into history or myth, it's like all that stuff would sort of suggest any of these things are possible and or existing, and we have these stories, so it's like, yeah. But yeah, anyways, I don't know. Thanks for letting me share my thoughts, and I don't know. Appreciate the work you do. And man, there's a lot going on and a lot to speculate about for sure.
There is. I mean, there's just so many angles to everything going on, and the more you go down the rabbit hole, the deeper and more twisted it gets. And sometimes, just speaking for myself, I felt like I think I got this figured now. I think I got this figured, and then something else will come along and be like, yeah, well, that makes sense too. So let me look over in this direction, and then you get pulled back a little bit another way. The one thing that's for sure is I think that we have been really completely misinformed and controlled, and it's more like, who is actually doing it? That's one of the questions. And what's we could see what they want. I mean, we must serve a purpose for them. And if we look at the Anunnaki stories, we're basically the slave labor on the planet, according to those stories. And from other layers of thought, like if you're talking more of a Gnostic version, talking about archons and these super powerful beings that would almost use us as living batteries, just an energy source. There's so many different layers to this. It's really, really fascinating. And Billionaire Matrix, my Matrix says, will we ever really know the truth? I don't know. I think we're figuring a lot of things out. We're putting a lot of the pieces together. We're realizing we're being played. But how do we get ourselves out of this matrix? How do we change, this world that we find ourselves in? And we really got to change things, because it's so obvious that in the past there's been mass extinctions, mass extinctions, and so it appears that we're heading towards another one, and there'll always be a remnant, because it seems like they want to keep things going, but they just kind of bring it down to a point that's more manageable. Just like, again, the stories of the humans making too much noise, so the gods are going to send a flood to quiet the humans. In the case of Enlil, there's always something to basically bring the population back under control, or they're getting too smart. They're figuring things out. So we need to take them down a couple pegs.
Yeah, and I'd absolutely agree. But then again, it's like, as above, so below. And I guess, like, if you look at any system, really, like, I don't know. I write music when I'm not doing other stuff like carpentry or researching what the heck's going on the planet. But yeah, I mean, if you're like synthesizing a whole new sound from something new, aka like, I don't know, a civilization or like some sort of species, like, you want to experiment with the sound, you want to tweak with it, you want to see what it can do, but at a certain point, you got to put a limiter on it, and you got to tune in the sound, I guess, to the rest of its environment, aka the drums and the bass and all these other things. So maybe, I mean, again, like, I don't know, maybe just trying to make sense of it and put it in some sort of metaphor, but, which again, I guess is scary for our perspective, because we're just like, instruments in that sense, but, maybe that's what we are, it's like rendering of humans getting tuned for the next orchestra of the next song or something like that, and, we're just, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows for sure?
Yeah, it's well, the only person, anybody that thinks they know for sure, um, you know, they got to just look a little deeper, because you'll always find that there's some other truth that is there that's being hidden, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating. It's been just something that's been in me since I was like 5 years old, and need to know. And I think I shared it with people before. When my brother died when I was 5, I remember going over to the table, grabbing the Bible and a Catholic missal because I was brought up Catholic, and the neighbor's a young girl, she was 8, so she could read, and I had her read to me, and I just had to know. And that started me on this whole thing, and I've never stopped. It's just like this desire to figure out all the mysteries that there are. And so it's led me through every single religion I could think of, every philosophy, and down into the magical hole as well. Looking into everything from Wicca and high magic and all different things, studying, John Dee and all these different, modes, the Golden Dawn, Crowley, you name it, and into stuff that's much more modern psychological, also into quantum physics and everything, trying to find every single angle, trying to figure out, what is the big missing pieces from the puzzle. And it's just fascinating, and it goes on forever. I think I'd probably have to live to be 1,000 to maybe get, half of the truth.
Right.
But you just keep going, and you're just trying to figure out, more and more what's going on. But I have learned some of the secrets, and that's things like the energy work and how powerful that can be, and just simple things either, like eating whole foods. Don't eat processed foods and all the crap that they always try to sell us with their advertising. And there's so many things we could do to really make ourselves so much healthier. And
Yeah,
just
absolutely. And I think you had posted that one little article, and I remember, I don't know, maybe about a week ago, talking about the specific nervous system that's tied in with the deep breathing
yes,
and like meditative thought. And they've actually found, like the actual system that's all connected to, and it connects to your stomach and other parts of your body. So I think you're absolutely right about that, though. Like, taking time to, tune into all the other stuff that isn't the noise of what we're told of, like what healing is and what it is, and these other hidden systems of knowing, right? Because that's basically like another type of intelligence, which is, I guess, another way to find truth.
Definitely, and yeah, there's a lot of great stuff going on right now, like in some of the Qigong federations, around the world, and there's a lot of scientific studies going on right now with things like Qigong and Reiki, and really getting into how do they work, do they really work, first off, how they work and everything. And now we have the science that will show us how things work. And we also have like this connectivity that we have going now, where we could actually, compare different traditions, because before so much of it was kept totally secret and just passed on, orally from master to student, that type of thing, or hidden in the secret societies. And now you could go and you could study everything about, say, Hermeticism. You could go study the Kabbalah. You could go study Qigong and study all these different, different methods, different forms. Study, the works of the Golden Dawn and all these other secret societies as well. And then you start to see some commonality, and you realize, they do something that's very similar to something that's done over here. And so it's like, wow, okay, so maybe what's the core? What's the core here? What's the real important part of it? And then you start really realizing the power of visualization and the power of connecting to the earth, the power of opening up your chakras and calming and stilling the mind so that you can become more receptive and open, which they condition us to be fearful of, because they do that in saying, well, don't calm and still your mind, or a demon or a devil is going to get control of you. And really what that's doing, it's the exact opposite, because they always want to steer you in the wrong way, and keep you from discovering some truths and how you can actually heal yourself with just basically visualizations and knowing how to draw in the life force. And a couple of people are talking about sound as well. Sound is so important. and it's so healing. There's so many studies showing how healing sound is now, and like we were showing in one of the videos, going to sleep to something that's, so calming and meditative. And I love the solfeggio, the different solfeggio sounds and frequencies, and I love going to sleep to those. Or I'll go to sleep to some Vedic mantras as well, which put off some certain vibrations, and I'll find that my dreams are incredibly vivid, and I just wake up feeling all rested. So there's so many different things we could do, but we're basically getting knowledge from every corner of the globe right now, which is the exciting part, and able to piece together the pieces and see how they fit in the puzzle. So we really can, do amazing things right now, and part of that is probably making us more dangerous to the powers that be. So hence, the population control aspects.
Yeah. I guess the title back in, like, wow, we're going so far, but oh dang, natural limitations by the system. Shucks. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, I still think that there's still some goodness in there, though. Like, I mean, even if we are potentially instruments or tools or slave labor for galactic forces, we still I mean, everything you said is at least that reminder of that node of something that connects to the good part, and we can at least return to a source and like reprogram our files to be like back to that, which I don't know, is a pretty transcendental thing to do for I don't know, a slave, I guess. I don't know, at least that's cool.
Well, thank you for sharing so much, Benjamin. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, appreciate you, Michael, man, and keep up the good work, and appreciate your shows, and you're doing good work, especially in some crazy times, and keep it up, man.
Thank you, my brother. Stay safe out there.
Yeah, appreciate you. Good night.
Good night. That was a great call, and that was Benjamin. And so, I mean, I think one of the things we have to focus on the most is really just our own personal work, and I do think you really got to look at all the systems, look at all the different philosophies, get pointers from all the different religions, and just piece the pieces together. Like with Buddha, he realized everything was a matrix. He realized the reality of the matrix, but he also realized that you can escape it just simply by realizing it's a matrix and then holding a personal vibration that's one of love and compassion. And really, that's the key. And then, Christ as well, showing the key is, again, love, compassion, forgiveness. And those emotions are vibrations. Emotions are so tied into what we are. And they are where we are in relation to our vibrational frequency, our personal frequency, wavelength, and vibratory rate. And as Tesla said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, vibration. Hello, my friend. You're on the air. And who do we have with us now?
It's Shannon Ann. How you doing, Michael?
Hey, how you doing, Shannon Ann?
I am doing fantastic. What about yourself? How's everything going with you?
I feel so much better now than I did earlier in the day, where I was kind of tired, kind of wiped out. I've been doing like a lot of moving type things like that, and just doing a couple little energy sessions, and then talking to you guys about energy always gets my energy just cranked up. So like right now I'm buzzing from head to toe and feel awesome.
Well, good. I just wanted to call really quick. You know that I sell from home, and I just wanted to give some information to people who are looking to stock up food for any events like this. And I have some information I think people would like to know, if that's okay.
Oh, of course. Please share.
I buy and sell on different websites, and I started buying auctions. And one of the auction sites is called liquidations.com or liquidation.com, and they have different grocery type of boxes that you can get. One of the locations is in Garland, Texas, so I can drive up there and get these auctions. Well, we bought 2 food auctions prior to now, and this has been, probably back since May, and we're still eating on them. But I wanted to let you know that the things that you get in these grocery items will last you for a very long time. Um, that's why I'm stocked up on food. I'm gonna be good on little things like that, because what they give you is a lot of protein bars and a lot of protein shakes and a lot of, I got like a bunch of boosts and a bunch of whole dry milk stuff. And honestly, if you get these auctions right, you'll get them for about $100 to $200, and it's a pallet of food. Some stuff might be expired, but the majority of it isn't. So, like in this last run, and it's crazy. It's crazy that food is so cheap, and we have starvation going around the world. It does not make sense to me. I donate a lot. You get a lot of like dog food and cat food in here too. I donate what I don't use back to the shelters. So let's just see. I've got flaxseed, brown organic seeds, nutritional yeast. I got ginkgo biloba extract powder, turmeric root ground powder, a whole thing of 5 big bags of like sesame seeds, any and every type of protein bar you can imagine. I have, along with like this last batch we got was about five or six different nature-made multivitamin completes, all the vitamins you can imagine. I also got 12 cases of Core Power banana high-protein milkshakes and coffee, tea, anything and everything. It's worth a shot for people looking to stock up for food and supplies like that. Liquidations.com. You do have to have your reseller's certificate, but it's a quick thing you can get from your state. And they do ship. You might have to pay a little bit more for shipping, but it's an option for people out there that really, really, really want to stock up on food and have it for a long time.
Well, thanks for sharing that. For sure, yeah, it's important, and prices are going to go through the roof. I mean, we've been seeing incredible crop losses, and the fact that China is not going to be exporting anything now. They're hanging on to their food already. So how bad it's going to be as far as that.
Yes.
So you might as well stock up now. You're just going to spend more later, wherever you could, as much as you can. And
I agree.
As Sherry's saying in there, save seeds for replanting. That is great. Go ahead.
One
Sherry.
of the things I just did on a couple of auctions, and they have seeds, and they have the LED grow lamps, and one of them I'm getting 4 of those in one auction. And just it's amazing. If anybody wants to buy really cheap and don't want to go to the store, look at auctions. Liquidation.com is a great spot. BULQ.com is another spot. They don't do food so much, but you can get things for your home and to help prep for it too. A lot of them have tools in them. I got a lot of like pepper spray in this last one, and carabiners, and honestly masks for your face. It's weird. Like a lot of this stuff, it almost was like perfect for prepping and getting your food and some supplies that you definitely need around your house. Fishing tackle. I got a bunch of fishing tackle. It's just amazing what you get in these things. So I just thought I'd share that information, and hopefully somebody can take it with them and use it, and hopefully it'll help them.
Well, that was definitely great info. Thanks for sharing so much. And I know you're a regular. I always enjoy talking with you.
Good, thank you. I do too. I've been busy the last couple of days with my new business venture that's happening, so I'm really happy about that. I think we talked about this personally, but I decided to not let everything that's going on around us keep me from still pursuing my dreams that I want to pursue. So I'm still prepping and knowing what's going on and being aware and awake, yet at the same time not letting it hinder me from pursuing the loves that I do. So, and I hope everybody does that too, because if you get into it like I had, you can get very depressed and you get down, and you want to save other people, and if you can't save yourself, then you can't save other people. This is my motto now. So.
Yep, very true. That is so true, and that's definitely a very good philosophy to live by. So thank you for sharing that so much. There's so much you could do. There's so much you could do, and that's exactly what the way we have to look at it. You know, stay positive. You know, don't get depressed. It's easy to look at all this stuff and get pulled down. But then also, you know, go about your life, but make your preparations. You know, get yourself situated. And I mean, I know I'm going to be visiting some of the bulk stores that are up in Tampa. That where you could get like a 10-pound bag of turmeric, for instance, relatively cheap. And that's where I've bought like 75-pound bags of rice and beans and lentils. And, you know, like tonight for dinner, just to share with you guys, I just basically made something that probably cost me maybe $1. You know, if that, it was just basically a lentil curry with like 3 different types of peppers in it, onions, cauliflower, lentils obviously, garlic, fresh ginger, and all sorts of, you know, there's so many good healing spices in like Indian cooking. I love Indian cooking for the flavor, but also, you know, it's anti-parasitic, antiviral, anti-inflammatory. There's so many good properties to this. If you're using cilantro, I mean, that's great for also pulling out heavy metals and toxins. There's a real science to the cooking, and then coconut oil, coconut milk in it, and it's delicious. And lentils are dirt cheap, especially if you buy them in bulk. So, you know, for one night serving, it probably didn't even cost me $1 for dinner, not even. And so that's perfect survival food.
Yes, and on this website that I was telling you about, the liquidations.com, on one of these, it's funny that you say that, because one of these, is it on bulk? They've got this, it's like grow in a can like cilantro, basil, mint, and mushrooms. So I'm getting, honestly, it's the weirdest thing. Like for this bit, I'm getting, it's for $107 total, and that's shipping included. I'm getting, it's a garden grow kit cilantro. Has anybody heard of that? I'm not sure. But it's like a little can, and you put water in it. It's back to the roots. It comes up. I'm getting 32 cans of that. So I got 32 growing cans of that. 14 cans of basil, 13 cans of mint, and then 9 grow your own mushroom kits, and then a bunch more other stuff as well for just $100. So, I mean, I'm telling you, if you have the money to look on these auction sites, it's worth the time just to go ahead and research it, take a day, because it took me a while to understand what all this was about, and then maybe that's my calling is to help people look outside the box from your box stores that you go to, like Walmart and other places, because you can buy so much cheaper food in bulk and auctions online.
Definitely. All really good thoughts. Thank you so much for sharing that, Shannon Ann.
No problem. I'll send the links into the whatchamacallit down below. You know, for live chat. That's what I meant.
There we go. Well,
all right. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good day.
You too. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye. So that's Shannon Ann. She's a regular as well. All good thoughts. Definitely, you know, whenever possible, buy in bulk. The other thing I would say too is, you know, check what you're buying, you know, and again, don't buy for your health. Don't buy stuff with like MSG. Try to avoid stuff that has a whole bunch of chemicals that you don't know what they are. It's not gonna, you know, help you in the long run. Just focus on just kind of plain simple items. And, you know, when you go into some of the spices, some of them could have all sorts of additives in them as well. So be careful with that as well. But definitely, it's a great idea right now. I guarantee you, a year from now, so many things that we're buying is probably going to be double or more in price. As far as food goes, it's going to go way up. I mean, look at the crop losses, and we're just getting into this. It's kind of scary to think that it's just really starting. You know, so what I was saying too about going up to the you know, these, they're mostly Indian places up there, and you can find just tremendous buys. I mean, tremendous buys. in these places, and then also a lot of them are relatively mom and pops too, which is always nice to support, as opposed to supporting the big boys like your Walmarts and all. Very important, because we know how under control those places are, as far as being under the control of the powers that be. And give us a call. We actually have an open line again. It's 614-400-5835. Again, 614-400-5835. And it's interesting, just talking about Africa and everything, the cradle of civilization, and really all the mysteries down there. There's just so much anomalous things that we find all across this planet. And, I keep seeing in my mind's eye all these different imprints of giants, and not just that, but anomalous objects that just don't belong there, metalwork, things that are millions of years old. And hello, caller, you're on the air. Who do we have with us now?
Maureen.
Hi, Maureen. What would you like to talk about tonight?
I just wanted to share some experiences I've been having lately.
Sure.
A couple previous callers were talking about the chemtrails, and we mentioned like aluminum and barium as being potential culprits.
Yes, definitely.
I have a magnetic hematite bracelet that I made several years ago, and I didn't wear it for a while, and I found over the last few months that if I wear it, I get a lot of pain in my arm. And, I researched it because I was starting to learn about chemtrails, and I was like, what are they putting up there? And, I learned that barium is magnetic. So, I was wondering if anyone else has had a similar experience. And, I don't know.
Well, I think everything's increasing. I think energy-wise, everything is increasing, and electromagnetically as well. So the one thing I've noticed after years and years and years of doing qigong and really focusing on drawing in the earth energy, it feels, and I shared this with you guys, it feels almost like when I mentally connect to it, there's like a huge magnet right now in the earth. It feels like I'm being pulled, almost like compressed down into the earth when I mentally connect. And it's amazing because it's just way more intense than I've ever felt before, and it just seems like it is continuously getting stronger. And I think it must be a result of what we're seeing. That geomagnetic storm we had talked about, just I think it was in today's video. I think I touched on it yesterday's video too. That just snuck in on people, and if we got hit a little bit more directly with something like that, we could lose the entire grid. But it's also big blasts like that right now are literally, I'm sure they're changing our DNA, and it's probably changing everything on the planet.
Yep, I've given that a lot of consideration as well. The magnetic makes a lot of sense too. I've noticed also lately, before we have like a big earthquake, or if there's a series of little earthquakes, like I'll get these dizzy spells, and I'm like, and then I'll come in and check the earthquake map, and I'm like, oh, yep, there it is. My sister actually texted me earlier and said she lives in California, and she said she's been feeling really anxious lately. And I said, well, there's been a lot of earthquakes, and I've been having these experiences of having anxiety and dizziness, and then there will be big earthquakes there. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of earth energy right now.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely, you could feel it, and so many people are really getting very, very earthquake sensitive. People that weren't so sensitive before, and just with energy as well. I mean, and it's interesting in my own practice with people. If it was 5 years ago, and I do think my energy's increased, but I think also people's ability to perceive it's increased. So, like 5 years ago, working on somebody, they would be like, "Yeah, I could feel it. I could feel a little tingling or this and that." And now, anytime you work on people, it's like, "Oh my God, that energy was so intense. Feel it from head to toe. I'm just vibrating. I can feel myself lifting up out of the body." And that's just, regular. That just happens all the time now. Because we're going up in vibration, we're getting bombarded with a lot more energy than we're used to, and it's really causing us to evolve and to we're shifting in many ways.
I hope it's going to be in a good way, and I hope it's going to be soon.
It is. Ultimately it is, but ultimately it's all about where our personal vibration is at. So I think we really, really have to be very aware of where we are mentally and emotionally. So, think about it. If we're increasing in vibration, then we are able to manifest things so much quicker, positive and negative. So we need to be very, very mindful of that and stay in a pretty good state of mind and really do work on our emotional and spiritual state of being. Because, conversely, if you're holding energy, and really, so many diseases are emotional in nature. According to Chinese medicine, pretty much all of them are, obviously, besides being, say, hit by a car or, something going on like a broken leg, things like that. But otherwise, it's all emotional in nature. And so, like cancer, for instance, has a vibratory frequency. And a lot of it has to do with feelings of worthlessness, feeling down on yourself, depressed about yourself, things like that. So you have to be so mindful of that and get yourself out of that, framework of mind and get yourself into a positive frame of mind. And it's so critical now because we can manifest the good or the bad much, much quicker.
Yep, this is true.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with the call. It's good to have you join us. And
thanks. I was just kind of wondering if anyone else was having, some connected experiences.
Oh, yeah.
So thanks for letting me share.
Oh, my pleasure. Namaste, my sister.
Okay, namaste.
Take care. So that was a very good call. And I think it feels like everybody is recognizing the energies incoming, the intensity of them, both good and bad. It's just intense. And I think it's how we process it that's going to make all the difference in the world. That's why I think, don't necessarily fear everything, because fear in itself is a disease maker. Fear will cause dis-ease, and it's just the way it is. So no fear. Like if we live in fear of the sun or of the knowledge that UVC is reaching us, it's going to create a certain mindset which is going to send a signal to our body, and we're always communicating to ourselves. And so we don't want to tell ourselves that, to do something negative and harmful. So we must let it go and let go of anything that's fearful. And instead, let's embrace the positive, because there is intense energies incoming that we could utilize. It is so much easier now to connect with all sorts of energy that is positive. And I still do think that you should connect to the earth energy. Because some people had said before, should we not connect to the earth anymore because of ascension? But the earth is going through ascension as well. The earth is changing in frequency and vibration as well. So in my mind, I think it is good. Plus, it'll help us to ground and to balance our own energies. So we do have an open line again, 614-400-5835. I know there were a couple other people that called when that last call was on, so we are open. And let us know what else you want to talk about. So much going on. A lot of people are feeling it. People are feeling the energy, especially out in the West Coast. I think a lot of people are sensing it from what I've been hearing from you guys. All the way from, basically all the way from Washington, all the way on down to California. And we will see what develops. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who do we have with us?
Hi, this is Don again, DWN. But
Hi,
I
John.
couldn't help but to call back since it was an open line because I wanted to talk about fear because for some reason I don't have that in my life. And I have faith, but it's not as strong as fear, being fearless for some reason to me. But this, I will tell you, around 15 years old, I lived on an 80-acre farm, and it was probably around 2 o'clock at night, and I was out in the back sneaking, smoking a cigarette. And something happened to me for about 15 minutes. When I came through, I was just bawling and crying of happiness. And all I could think of was everything's going to be all right. And I wanted to tell my parents that because my dad, they were, going to be coming after him to get the farm because he hadn't paid his taxes. And he was 3 years into it. And being a night person, I could hear them talk at night, so I would know these things, right? And I remember my mom crying and saying, well, I don't want to separate the kids. Well, they all can't go to one place, blah, blah, blah. And I knew it was a big deal. And I went into my mom and dad's bedroom, and I'm like, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. That's all. My dad's like, did you wreck the car? Are you all right? What? And I know I sounded crazy. And I just said, well, the only thing I could think of, I said, Mama, remember you told me that when I would see Jesus or talk to Jesus, I would know? She goes, yeah. And I said, well, I did. 2 months later, my little brother burns down our barn playing with matches. Everybody was safe, but, a couple ponies. And my dad got the money to pay and never lost the farm. And to this day, I'm not scared of nothing. And I'm a really hardcore activist at that. I mean, I went to prison under the Patriot Act, and I do it all over again. And I've learned so much, and I'm a witness to a lot because I've heard all the stories. And being underground at one point, I really, have a lot of testimonies myself. That's why I'm totally awake. But I practically, had to go to jail and prison to be awake. Basically, because, we're all, were naive or gullible at one time. But I just wanted to share that story because I'm just not scared of nothing. I'll be on the front line for any crucial moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to share that positive because
it is.
It's one thing. It's power of the mind. I really believe in it. And let me tell you, I've been put through the ringer, but one thing I've never let them do is take my spirit. I was like, dude, you're just not going to have it. I don't care what you tell me, you're just not going to have it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Love you, Don. Talk to you later.
Oh, thank you so much, Don. We love you too. Thank you for sharing.
All right, bye. Yeah.
Bye-bye. Yeah, and I think we will realize too, it's not the power of the brain, but the power of the mind. And they are different, because the brain is just a piece of hardware. It's not really the information that's coming through. And we had I'm trying to remember his name now. It was John, who was in the chat room last night and was talking and trying to get more and more information on how to open up your crown chakra. And basically, you really I find that focusing on drawing light from source, you can visualize it in so many different ways, and I share it in a meditation there. And this is one of those things that I found is in the Wiccan tradition, in the Western mystery tradition. It comes out of the Kabbalah. It's in Qigong. It's in from the Hermetic origins as well. And basically, it's called, like in the Wiccan circles, it's called drawing down the moon. And so you just visualize this column of pure white light that comes from the sky and just flows right through the top of the crown, right through the crown chakra, goes straight down, out your feet, and into the ground, into the earth. And you just feel the flow of the energy. And there's different things you could do with it. Like in some of the mystery traditions, you'll actually say Hebrew words, and you draw it down that way. There's so many different ways of doing it. In Qigong, we have techniques as well. But ultimately, it's just the visualization that really makes the difference. It could also, help with some of the vibrations that the words do, because, especially the vowels have a lot of power, and they can open up our chakras. So there's a lot in vibrating. If you listen to Tibetan monks chanting, they really vibrate. They're focusing on the vibration. And so, you know, it will go ahead and it will just open up all the chakras. And of course, if you have a particular faith, then you could just basically do a ritual that's, you know, embracing that faith. And it's so powerful. But learn how to breathe through the chakras. So again, when you're drawing the energy in, inhale and feel the energy being pulled in to the chakra, and then exhale. So if you're doing that particular one, you're inhaling, you're drawing energy in through the crown. Exhale and feel the energy flow out of the foot chakras. And just do that for a while, and then you might want to do it in reverse, where you're pulling in earth energy, and inhale, feel the energy flowing up through the foot chakras. Exhale, feel it flow up the body and out of the crown chakra. And in Qigong, we go into circulating the microcosmic orbit, and I've been thinking about doing a video on that as well. Just, you know, on that particular thing, that would be a good one to cover as well. There's so many different techniques, but it's all really, it boils down to visualization. And so as our first caller was saying, he was sharing that it has to do with basically neurons, mirror neurons, and we're reprogramming ourselves. That's all we're doing. Hello, caller, you're on the air, and who do we have with us now?
Hello, I'm sorry.
Hi. And what would you like to talk about, caller, and what was your name?
I want to talk about his breathing techniques with what is going on with the world right now. This new thing with Russia, that's the new turning point.
So what are you feeling?
I'm sorry?
What are you feeling? What's your thoughts and your feelings as far as like everything with Russia?
What I'm feeling is something that I've felt for a long time, and it's been a long time coming, and it's mainstream is not reporting on it, and alternative media seems the only one reporting on it. So I was wondering what your advice would be for breathing techniques with all of this new stuff.
Well, as I was sharing, basically it's a matter of visualization and connecting. So, you know, like grounding yourself and all. Just basically, you know, visualizing yourself having roots is a good one to do. Roots coming out of the foot, and from what we call the K1 point, the bubbling wells, and you know, just sinking your roots into the earth, and that will be very, very grounding. And then just with the breath, you draw earth energy up and into your body, and just see your entire body glowing with each exhale in a stronger and more vibrant light.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
I was going to say the only problem with that is the visualizing. People can't visualize it because they're not seeing what's really going on. If you understand what I'm saying. You seem to be more, you're not mainstream. You don't have a mainstream view. So getting people to adopt what you're saying is going to be hard.
Yeah, it's just like, it's exactly like the quote from the Bible where Jesus is talking about, you know, talking to the masses. You teach in general parables because, you know, that's all they could understand. But then you explain the mysteries in detail to the inner circle that, you know, are ready to receive these things and understand. And so, you know, not everybody is ready, and that's true. And many people won't grasp things in this lifetime, just simply because they're just not ready. And it does take training too. It takes dedication, takes patience and perseverance. And yeah, I mean, probably, you know, better than half won't. I've had people estimate 75% of people will just never understand because they're just not ready yet.
They're not ready yet, and they haven't seen anything that you're suggesting. Like in Japan, they're to ease tension, their muscle tension, they're having somebody hog tie them basically in a sheet and sit there like a baby on their back, and that releases tension, and that's their form of releasing, I guess, the toxin, the stress, and everything. There's so much. I don't even know. But I just want to know your opinion, because Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of that's going to be just fabulous when family comes around. And when SHTF happens, everybody's going to have their mainstream narrative, and then you're going to have, well, not you, but I'll speak for myself, I'm going to have my narrative that they're definitely not going to grasp, because they haven't grasped it yet. They still think, I don't know what your opinion is, they still think that we went to the moon. I'm not a flat earther, but I know that we didn't.
Right. Yeah. It's just I do think we could wake people up to the obvious stuff. Not everybody might grasp energy medicine and things along those lines and quantum physics, but we could definitely wake up the big bulk of people to the fact that the Earth changes, especially when it happens right in front of them at some point. So they could wake up to some things, but they might not grasp the bigger picture.
This might be too late for them. Anyway, God bless you, man. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome. Namaste.
Night, brother.
You too. Take care. Yeah, it's not everybody's going to grasp everything, and some people are going to have too much conditioning to possibly overcome. But at the same time, one of the things I've noticed is that we got another caller. Hello, caller. Thank you for joining us, and you're on the air. And who do we have with us?
Hi, my name's Gary. How are you tonight?
Hey, Gary. How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm having a great time here. Just understanding things and the way they work is an amazing thing. It's all in our language and our words and the way we use them, and the sounds that we even make using our words is a very uplifting and inspirational thing.
It is. There is so much power in the vibration that comes out of our mouth. There's tremendous power.
Yeah, we have this a picture of Jesus that is riding a horse, and he's got a double-edged sword in his mouth. People are trying to figure out what that is. It's all about our language. It's the words we use. We got to think about those. They're real simple, most of them, because they say we can only duplicate and replicate. We can't originate. Every word means exactly as it sounds. And what's a television? It's got sound and it's got vision, so we call it a television. What's intelligence? Into telling gents how smart you are. Every word means exactly as it sounds, and we don't understand that. The simplicity of it. I mean, geez, what's a tick? It's a blood-sucking insect. Now we call them politics. Haven't changed a bit. Everything is always the same. Think about the words that we use. They mean exactly what they are. I like to find, it's removing the sword from the stone. Take the two S's out of that. Remove the word from the tone. Every word means what it is. I want to speak about one in particular, and I think this will help out a lot of people. His name is Jesus. Actually, that's really not even his name. That's who he is, and that's what people call him. But think about this, and you were just saying this, inner G. Enter G. This is something that we all are, energy, atoms. We can only duplicate and replicate. We can't originate. Atom. Everybody is made from atoms. Everything is made from atoms. Atom's got a proton, a neutron, an electron freely afloat around every single atom. I'm sorry, I diverse. I'm going off in different directions here. Think about Jesus. G. Think about that sound you just made. Now think about the word that you found in that word. Us. G's. Us. That's all you have to believe in is yourself. We have the power in your own mind to do whatever you want. You just have to understand that. G's. Us. That's what it meant. It's all of us. It's in all of us.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Dr. Mike in the chat room wrote down ISU, ISU, is you.
There you go.
So yeah, it is fascinating to see it, and there's so many different things.
I had this 88-year-old man who I met about 12 years ago, who I was helping out. He was in a wheelchair. I was doing some work as I'm not a nurse by any means. I was just trying to help out. My sister has a nursing agency. I was just helping the guy out. He was in a wheelchair, and I helped him go from his room to eat lunch and back to his room. And we got to talk, and he spent a lot of time with him. He used to work for L. Ron Hubbard at the Church of Scientology. He was telling me about the alphabet and how every single letter of the alphabet already is a word. It already means something. It's like the letter P in the alphabet. It always stands for people, population, peasants. Like the caveman drawings in the caves. It was a ball with a stick coming down. That's people, peasants, population. That's what that P means in every word that we use. And in the lower case of our alphabet, if you can flip a word or a letter over backwards or upside down, and it looks totally different, then it means something totally different. It sounds strange, but take the letter P, flip it upside down and backwards, the lower case letter, it looks like it's the letter D now. Well, that means dead, deny, divide. Your head is at the bottom, and you are toe up. That's pretty much how our alphabet works. Like a dog. Divide, error, they're great. You gotta understand the letters and the words and what they mean. I talked about politics earlier. P is standing for people. The letter O always means error. Always. It doesn't matter which direction you face it, it always looks the same. So it always means the exact same thing. It always means error. It's a really important thing to remember. And to think about the words that we use. We had this Dr. Emoto did this scientific work on water.
Yeah.
It has thought, it has memory, and it can hear you. You're 80% water. Now, what do you think our subconscious is and our conscience? Subconscious sounds like it's kind of underwater. We've taught our subconscious things in school I don't think we should have been taught. I believe that spelling does exactly what it is. It puts you in a spell. It's just after understanding what this guy taught me and trying to understand it, it's amazing. Food, oh gosh, food's got 2 O's in it. That's a double error. It's all about having your daily bread. And there's that picture of the Last Supper. People don't need to eat 3 meals a day by any means. I've gone way too extreme. I used to weigh almost 300 pounds. I'm down to about 130 something now, 38. I've gone too far. You don't need to lose any. You don't need to stop eating that much, but you can go for quite a while without doing much harm for yourself. First couple of days is probably a little rough. Drink a lot of water. After that, it gets pretty easy. I feel eating is more too much work.
Yeah, and well, actually, I mean, I feel like when I do my fasting and then also doing a lot of qigong, you just vibrate on a much higher level, and you just feel like you're buzzing head to toe most of the time and feel very, very clear. And so then you could feel when you eat something how it really, really affects you. And it makes it really, really easy to eat just good things when you do that. Because when you eat something that's, say a processed food, then you feel all of a sudden that, inflammatory response from head to toe, not very pleasant.
I try not to eat any processed foods. I don't eat hardly any meats. I eat a lot of fish. Meat, going right back to this Dr. Emoto again. Water has got thought, it's got memory, and it can hear you. You're watching these. I don't know. There was a big to-do down in Florida anyway of some of these farms, the way they were treating the animals that were going to slaughter. And it was just horrific, and they've had a bunch of, they said that they were doing something about it. I doubt it. But I can taste it in the meat. I can taste the fear, the hate. It's palatable. And what you were just saying about breakfast, think about the words we use. Don't break fast. Don't break your fast. Breakfast. Break fast. Don't eat breakfast, the most important meal of the day. Look, if our government tells you to do something that it's good for you, you can pretty much bet they're giving you a lie. Every news show that we watch, that's all they do. It's the news. But yet, there's not enough news and excitement in this world. They got to spend the next, 10 minutes out of the show cooking something up that everybody will enjoy.
Right.
Television is MTV. And that's M as in just empty TV. MTV. Empty. I think that's what, even the songs that we sing, the words, listen to the words in music, the movies that we saw. Jeez, I mean, think about Peter Pan. What is that? The boys could fly, but yet they didn't eat anything. They sat and dreamed about a table full of food. And they gorged on it and had a blast. But the older ones could fly. But they never read books either, by the way. Which is what's books? Oh gosh, there's that double O again. There's a lot of things that we have to really start thinking about here. I'm going to say something a little goofy here, but foot. That's got two O's in it too, but how can that be bad? You got two of them. And again, here's this guy that I'm pushing around in a wheelchair is teaching me how to read. I listened to him intently for a couple of days, and then the third day he kind of said a couple things that I thought threw me off a little bit. And thought, well, that just sounds goofy. Like, what the heck? All right, I'm gonna tell you. The guy told me that and he knew quite a few of his previous lives, and he told me one of them was a horse chestnut tree. At that point, I went, why? Yeah, you're going to be a tree? Who the heck wants to stand around and pretend to be a tree for 200 years or however long a tree lives? And he sensed the fact that I understood that I thought maybe he was a little bit goofy, because you know what? TH means double-minded. Your thoughts are not your own. Every time you hear a word with TH in it, it has a double meaning to it. Anyway, but that means something in what I'm talking about here. Anyway, I asked the guy, why is it about your foot here? Why do you not worry about the infection you have from your diabetes in your foot? And I opened the door, I have to open the door and then wheel the guy and push the guy out. And I open the door and I turn around to wheel him out, and he's floating 2 feet in the air off of his wheelchair, right in front of me, just floating there. He says, I don't worry about my foot because I don't use it. And so I sat down and started talking to him some more. And I had to ask him about, what the heck, what do you mean a tree? How can you be a tree? And he asked me, he says, well, listen to your words. He says, where do you find a tree? I said, I am thinking, I didn't know I didn't have the right answer. And, I just told him growing out of a ground or something. And he just says, you find a tree in a forest. I said, well, yeah. He says, okay. It says for rest. That's why he was a tree. I studied what this man taught me. I understand it 100% and more. I mean, I could go for hours explaining each letter of the alphabet, what it does. Like the letter Z is broken arrow, broken bow. Kind of looks like it's broken, doesn't it?
It does, but you know, Gary, we're actually going to be closing up in this in about 12 seconds now. So I wanted to thank you for the call, though. That was definitely very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank everybody that joined us tonight as well. It was a very, very good one. So namaste, my brother, and we'll talk again, I'm sure. And that was Gary. Very interesting. So, you know, guys, I just wanted to talk on just a second. I want Dr. Mike, a lot of good comments in the in the chat room. Juan Martinez, you are right. Ancient beings knew how to use electromagnetic energy. And so if we are energy, right, ultimately everything comes from the sun here. So learn how to draw the energy into yourself as well. And perhaps you can achieve amazing things. Amazing things. So my friends, as always, thank you guys so much for joining me, and we'll be going live in 2 more days. We'll be back on Thursday night, and I look forward to seeing you guys there. Everyone, thank you so much. May you guys always be blessed with abundant love, peace, well-being, and always kept safe in these times, my friends. God bless and namaste.